So with our resume writer tool, one of the subscription options is to run the tool locally using a local LLM framework called Ollama. So Ollama's a pretty straightforward download. I have found I have used this with Mac and with Linux, and you just download the appropriate installation and follow the instructions. At least my experience was it was quite easy to get that downloaded and installed. The only thing that's maybe not obvious is that after you install the model or the framework, you still have to download a model. These are separate operations. And you can look at the models that are available with Ollama. This list continues to evolve and they continue to add new options. One of the key pieces to look at is the size of the model from in this Gemma 3 case from 1 billion up to 27 billion nodes. When you look at the individual model pages, it's going to tell you the size of each of these models, right? So the 7 billion model, 7 billion node model is 4.5 gig. The 8 billion, 70 billion, all the way up to the 671 billion node model. The size of this is really important. It is not just the disk space, it is also the memory that's going to be required when you run this model. So the framework loads the entire model into memory and runs the model evaluations against that. It actually takes a little bit more space in memory than it takes in the disk space that's listed here. So if you're running on a 16 gig system, for this particular model, you're not going to be able to run anything higher than that 14 billion node 9 gig model. And that one may still stress your system a bit. Although I've run 8 and 9 gig models on my 16 gig Mac M2, and it's worked. It does go a little bit slowly, but it will get there. The 43 gig model is going to take a lot of memory. I tried to run that one on my M4 that has 48 gig of RAM and it could not do it. It's really going to need about 64 gig or more, I think, to get there. And that half a terabyte of RAM, 671 billion node model is probably not something you're going to have sitting in your home. But you can download whichever models you would like and you can try all of these out for yourself. In the resume writer tool, there is an option under the settings to select which model you want to use when you're running the LLM evaluations, and you can pick and choose and move that around and figure out which one works the best. In our testing, we've done a lot of work on the Llama 3.2 model and found pretty good success with it. The Llama 3.2 Vision model, which is in here somewhere. This 11 billion Llama 3.2 Vision is maybe one of the best ones if you've got enough horsepower on your computer to run it. The 70 billion I did try on my Mac M4 to run this 70 billion model 40 gig Llama 3 and mostly worked, but it still has a tendency to time out or to crash and not really come back with results. So that's probably out of reach of a home computer as well. Once you get that downloaded, the framework downloaded and installed, you would go to your command line. So this is my terminal, and simply put Ollama run Llama 3.2. And it will come back with a prompt, which, sorry, is off of my screen by a little bit. Comes back with a prompt that is an interactive prompt, but before it does that, it will download the model. So this is the easiest way to download models, is to just ask it to run that model and then let it download. There is a download option in the resume writer tool, and it does work to download, but it doesn't provide any status. The API provided does not respond back with a status. If you'll follow this on your own computer as you're downloading models, you'll see progress for download and all sorts of steps that it's taking. So it's truly a nicer experience. This is an interactive prompt. You can ask it whatever you would like to ask it. When you're done, /by, and that is how you exit off of that. It will leave it running in your background, and the resume writer should see that. If you want to run the resume writer on an iPad or on some other computer in your home and run the LLM on something in a closet, then you can start Ollama with this environment key, Ollama host equals 0000, and then the command line to run it in the background, so Ollama serve. So if I run this, it will go ahead and run that open to any open to any computer on your local network, and then you just have to look at your IP address for the computer that you're running it on, and in the settings for the resume writer, there's an option to set that IP address to something other than 127.0.0.1, and the resume writer will verify that you do have an Ollama server running at the address that you give it. It'll save that, and then you'll be able to access that from any other computer in your house. So I've used this a lot to run the resume writer from my office computer and use my iPad to do LLM interactions. Hopefully you find that helpful. Thanks.